Oh boy, 4 games in a row. Who would have thought after starting the season out 2-7, or was it 2-7 or 2-6, that we would be at 500 at this point? 7-7 on the season, 4 games that we've won. Granted, they weren't against the best teams, but this is what we've been wanting from the Bucs. We want them to beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, and here we are beating every single one. Now, next week's game against the Texans is going to be a test because they're actually a good team. If we can beat them at home, then I would be fully confident that we have turned the corner. If we beat them next week, we'll be on a 5-game win streak, and I have no doubt that we'll finish the season on a 6-game win streak, finish 9-7, and that'll put us at 7-1 in the second half of the season, which would be incredible. And yeah, but before I get into all of that, because there's a lot of stuff I got to get into. I am Ramy B. I do weekly Buck reaction videos. If you are new here, make sure you click the subscribe button down below and stay tuned for my future videos. I know the season's coming to a close, so I'll be doing some more different kind of Bucks content after the season closes, some reviews of the season, predictions for next year based on the schedule, draft reactions, all that kind of stuff. So definitely make sure you stay tuned so you don't miss out on any of that stuff. But let me get into this game and this wonderful win of ours in Detroit on the road. So first one, I got to give credit to Brashard Perryman. First half of the season, I know we all wanted him out. We didn't want him on the team. He was dropping easy passes, running wrong routes. It was horrible. But the last 2-3 weeks, and especially today, he's really turned it on and stepped up. Now that we don't have Evans for the rest of the season, he definitely stepped up and played a big role. 5 catches, over 110 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Definitely much needed pickup on that. It's great to see that we have a player like him that's doing that. I don't think anybody else this season on our team has caught 3 touchdowns in a game except Evans against the Giants, but definitely very impressive on his end. I'm glad he's been able to step up his game and start catching balls and you know, catch contested balls, hard balls, all that kind of stuff, and definitely show us that we did a good job by not trading him or releasing him. So definitely he'll be back next year. If he continues this through the next 2 games with Evans, Godwin, and him next year, him playing at this, you know, this way, it's going to be a very, very, very lethal combination. But second, I want to give a shout out to Chris Godwin. Even with the defenses kind of shading him, double teaming him and things like that, he still caught 5 passes for over 120 yards. It was a shame that he went down with the hamstring injury. I'm thinking at this point he won't be back for the rest of the season. Will be him and Evans gone, which is going to hurt. But luckily, Brashard Perryman has stepped up. Justin Watson. I don't know what's going on with Scotty Miller. He got hurt in this game, and I don't know what the injury is. I don't remember what they said, so I don't know if he'll be back or not. But if he's not back, we just have Justin Watson. And why is my lighting? Hold up, let me fix it. Because last week it did the same thing. But anyways, we have Justin Watson, we have the new dude Hyman, and Brashard Perryman are the only 3 that we have. So you'll see a lot more 2 tight end sets. You'll see Tanner Hudson stepping in. You might say OJ Howard in the slot and playing out wide. We're gonna have to be very creative with the offense on that case, which takes me to Byron Leftwich, who has definitely stepped up these last few weeks. I like how at the end of the first half he was being aggressive, trying to take shots down the field. I like that he's willing to put up points and not really go into turtle mode. Granted, we don't have a running game at all whatsoever, so he has no choice, but the fact that he's getting creative, layering our wide receiver routes, tight end routes, all that kind of stuff, and making it hard for the defense to really pick what we're doing. Jameis has been getting a lot of open windows to throw to, a lot of clear shots to receivers, and I think Byron Leftwich deserves a lot of credit for now catering this offense in a way that puts Jameis in the best position to win. Teams know that we're going to throw, and we are throwing, and somehow we are still stopping, or we are still able to gain a lot of yards, score points, which has to go to Bruce Arians for crafting this offense and Byron Leftwich for the play calling and implementing it and all that kind of stuff. So definitely shout out to him. All right, I got the light fixed. The light had shut off. So now that we're back, Jameis Winston, 28 of 42, 458 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. Again, we're going back to that customary Jameis throwing an interception on the opening drive. This season, I think we're 4-1 when he throws a pick on the opening drive. So at this point, just first drive, let him get it out the way. It seems like he's one of those players where, kind of like in boxing, you know, sometimes you got to get hit first before you realize, like, okay, I'm really in the ring. I feel like Jameis, he's not really on point until he throws that pick, and it wakes him up. So if that's the case, I mean, every time we throw a pick, we've been holding the other team to 3 points or less, it seems like, for the most part, especially recently. And our defense has kind of been holding its own. So I mean, as a team, you'd be willing to live with picks if Jameis is putting up 30-plus points a game, which he has been. And the picks, you know, our defense is kind of holding their own in that. But Jameis played an absolutely amazing game. I don't know what it is. He's wearing a glove on his right hand, which is fractured. He's wearing a visor. I don't know if it's prescription. Last season he was wearing one, and him and Dirk kept saying it wasn't prescription, but I think it is. If that's the case, keep the glove on moving forward, keep the visor on. But he seems like he's able, definitely grasping the offense now. When receivers go down, he's not shook. He doesn't look like a deer in the headlights. He's willing to keep going. His touch passes have been beautiful, his deep balls. I don't think I've seen him have a game like today where he's throwing deep balls with such accuracy and, just beautiful, beautiful arcs and just landing perfectly in a player's hands. So definitely a great performance by him. At this point, I mean, he is coming back next year. I don't see any situation where we're getting rid of him. I know the picks suck, but at the same time, his production is still too good. There's a skill set that he has. Mentally, he's able to just move on from picks. When he throws them, he can have 2-3 picks and just move on next play like nothing ever happened. Again, picks are bad, but when you can come out and still throw 400 plus yards, 3-4 touchdowns a game, and still rally the team, that says a lot. You're not going to find a lot of quarterbacks like that. And like what I said last week, I'd rather have a quarterback who throws picks and still puts up a lot of yards and points than a quarterback who's very safe and won't put up 30 points. You can get a quarterback that'll have 0 interceptions, 1 or 2 touchdowns, and will average 14 to 21 points a game. That's not going to do it. So we're having Jameis doing all that. And I read that Jameis now is the only quarterback in the entire history of the NFL to have 2 back-to-back 450-yard plus games. Last week he had 456. Today he had 458. And yeah, he's balling. And he did all that. Mike Evans was out for what? 6 quarters now, 7 quarters. So he did all that, majority of it without Mike Evans, a lot of it without Chris Godwin today, which shows that he doesn't have fear. Like when we don't have players and players are hurt and things like that, he still gives them a shot and believes in them and trusts in them. But yeah, much credit to him. So let's flip over to the defensive side. The defense was a tale of 2 halves. The first half we held Detroit, especially up until like halfway in the second quarter, to like 3 total yards. Defense was playing outstanding, and then Detroit started moving. They put up a field goal, but we had 2 picks in the game. One of them was a pick 6 by Sean Murphy-Bunting in the fourth quarter when Detroit was kind of coming in after we had that missed field goal by Matt Gay. Detroit was coming in. They were threatening to tie the game, and that pick 6 really put it out of reach, put us up 14, put us up 31-17, and pretty much put the game out of reach. They really had to panic and play. They're typically a decent running team. They weren't running a lot and forcing throws, and then we got the ball back, and of course Jameis put up another touchdown, put us up by 21. But that looked good. The pick by Andrew Adams, great awareness, and we had the fumble recovery. I think Jamel Dean recovered it. I think Levante forced it in the fourth quarter in the end and during garbage time. The defense has really turned around. The corners, once we got rid of Vernon Hargraves, the corners have really stepped up. Outside of the game against the Saints, we've been pretty solid on defense. The D-line is doing well. Shaq Barrett just tied Warren Sapp, 16.5 sacks. I would not be surprised if he wins Defensive Player of the Year. 2 more games, he could finish 18.5 sacks, 19 sacks, maybe hitting 20 if he gets hot in a game. Who would have thought that we'd have, the sack leader after we couldn't get anybody in double digits for the last decade until last year. And then you have Ndamukong Suh, another sack. Overall, the defense has played well. The blitzes are starting to get there. Even if we're not getting sacks on the blitzes are impacting the quarterback. Their quarterback a lot of times was about to get hit and he ran out of the pocket and he was forced to rush some throws. So I think whatever Todd Bowles is doing, whatever confidence he's instilled in the team is great. Whatever he's scheming, it looks like we're starting to scheme to their strengths. It looks great. But yeah, overall the team has really seemed to turn the corner. 4 games isn't a fluke, a 4-game win streak, even against bad teams. That's a team that's doing their job and doing what they're supposed to do. So I definitely want to credit Bruce Arians for all of this. I know a lot of us were down on him the first half of the season. Maybe, because we were comparing it to his first season in Arizona and how they went, I think, 10-6. But, every team is different, and maybe this team took a little bit more they needed a little more time to catch on to the scheme. But the team's playing with a lot of confidence. I think, it's easy to lose and stay losing, but it's hard to win and keep winning. So I think now that the team is learning to win and they're not worrying when, the other team is coming back, they're able to maintain their composure and still play and still come out with a W. I think that speaks a lot. Next week is going to be a big test against Houston. If we can win that one, then I would know for sure we are legit, and next year we will be playoff contenders. I don't want to say Super Bowl contenders, even though it'd be cool to play a Super Bowl in Tampa. Hopefully we can be the first team to ever do it and win it, but we will be in contention for the division, I believe, next year. At this point it looks like we're keeping Jameis. I hope we try to keep Shaq Barrett. JPP is a free agent. We have a lot of free agents on the D-line, so we got to see how they're going to finagle that. And Chris Godwin's still here next year, but I'd like to see him locked down for a longer-term contract before his price shoots up even more. but I think with a healthy Mike Evans next year, healthy Chris Godwin, Brashard Perriman is playing the way he has been playing, and then our defense, the young corners, getting that experience and confidence through this year, I think we can be a force to reckon with next year. Jameis will be in year 2 of the system. He'll be a lot more confident and comfortable within that system. So I think it'll be good. But yeah, Jameis is now, I think as of today before the Cowboys game, he is 451 yards ahead of Dak for the lead in yardage. So there's no reason to believe he won't win the passing yard title this year. He's 3 touchdowns behind Lamar Jackson. He's at 30 touchdowns now. Lamar's at 33. As long as Lamar doesn't get another 5 touchdown game, right? Either way, this video is getting too long. Once again, if you are new here, make sure you click the subscribe button down below. Subscribe button down below. Thank you, Buc Nation, for tuning in. Let's go 4 games in a row. Let's make it 5, and then let's make it 6. I know we can do it. Personally, I'm trying to attend the Week 17 game. I'll be in Tampa, so hopefully I'll be able to get some tickets to go to that Falcons game and see us in person get another dub. So thank you for tuning in. Let's go Buc Nation. Let's keep it up. Let's keep these W's stacking. Let's keep eating some W's. You know, Jameis would die. Whatever. So yeah, thank you for tuning in, and I am out.
Our offense tough, our defense rough. Go Bucs, go Bucs. Ain't no other team stopping us. Go Bucs, go Bucs.